Hey, Maisha. You can hear me? Okay. They doggone powing again in the field across the street. Mhm. Hey, Wanda, how you doing? Hey, Maritza. Yeah, y'all. They they powing across the street. I started to turn my dog on camera on, but it's some little boys, like some teenagers playing with them firearms again. I text my friend that worked for the police department, and I told him to send somebody that's in an unmarked car because they know and they duck off so they never see him. Marissa say, "Hey, Maisha." Maisha say, "Hey, Wanda. Thank y'all for coming in, y'all. I didn't think nobody had my notifications on no more, y'all. I really didn't think nobody had my notifications on no more. But that is sad, y'all. And they did it like 3 times. They did it three times, like 3 sets of like five. Now, why you think them children playing with weapons at this time of night? They out there playing with weapons. And my room have nothing but windows. Nothing but windows. Wanda said, "Hey, Maisha." Maisha said, "OMG." Yes, girl. But I'm looking. I'm looking. I wanted to go in the country area, but that's where I really want to go because I really don't care for having neighbors. Um, but the thing of that is sometimes they go out there and they do that for fun. They pop out in the country for fun. So I'm like, I can go to the country and something could still happen in the country. The only thing would be is that I would have less neighbors and not as much but we really don't my street really is not a busy street. It's just that those neighbors that moved there the last because I've been here since 2016, and I believe they moved there the end of 2000, beginning 2020. Yeah, because my mom passed away. She had just passed away when they moved there, and they've been nothing but mess ever since. Nothing but mess. Nothing but mess ever since, y'all. And the night me and that girl got into it, y'all, we was eating. My daughter had ordered pizza for the kids, and we was talking and laughing and enjoying ourselves. And y'all, I tell the holiest person on this earth, I felt, I felt that demon come in my yard that day, and I told them children, I will wind them. I told my grandkids, I said, y'all go play to the back. And all before they was, I guess it was like, well, why she want us to go to play to the back? We was playing good. Why she want us to go play to the back? I said, y'all go jump on a trampoline. Y'all, I swear I felt it come in my yard. I got a feeling, a bad kick. It's like a bad kick in my stomach. And I told my son, I say, "M- get up and bring those children to the bed because I felt it. It was like something was watching me and I can feel it. And I told my son, I've never felt that before. I know I can tell when somebody is not right, but I never felt, experienced something watching, and you can feel it. You can just feel the y'all. It was sunny outside. Y'all can ask my son this. It got dark and like gloomy, like it was finna rain. And so my granddaughter Serenity, she said, Mama, she said, you still want us to go play to the back? It looked like it wanna rain. I said, yeah, y'all go jump to the back. I say, if it start raining, y'all go into the house because my daughter Tweety stayed to the back of me. So I say, excuse me, y'all, for the coughing. My allergies is acting up and everything. But I told her, I said, if it's if it start raining, y'all go in her house, but do not come out the house. And they was hesitant. They didn't want to go because they playing, they having a good time, they having a good time, they having a good time. Y'all, they did not want to go. So I told my son, I said, you feel that? And he said, yeah, mama. He said, I feel it. And that girl walked her tail across here and started that mess that night. And we ended up almost getting in a fight that night. And the girl threatened me. She threatened me. And this is what she threatened me with. She say, yeah, watch some more shit start happening around your house. And so my oldest daughter had done made it back by then. So we all looking at each other because if anybody been around my channel, that y'all know that my daughter windows had been getting pop out, right? And my son, they had some little boys, little teenagers had pop out my son in the chest with a pellet gun, broke the skin and everything. So we looking at each other like, okay, wait a minute. Did she just say what we think she just said? My daughter popped up like a jack in a box. So my daughter say, wait a minute, what you admitting to? So she got down because they had some little guys across the street at their yard. And so by that time we all stood up, but my oldest daughter popped up first. So she gone, she talking her little stuff, but she walking and she talking. So my daughter grabbed her purse because she kept reaching in her purse. And my daughter, like, give me what you keep reaching for? And she said, I don't have nothing in my purse. So my daughter said, no, but you're reaching like you have something in your purse. So we make it across the road and stuff like that. So by then the people that she was living with came outside and it was, y'all don't have no problem with us and this and that. And they made a getaway and stuff like that. And like I told that guy, he's an older man. I told him, I said, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something right now. I say, cause my mama always said, I always heard older people say that the bad motherfuckers been unalive. They been gone. And I say, that girl just threatened me. And she lucky. I'm changing. I want to do better. But she's lucky that I'm not how I used to be. I said, because y'all would have had to come slide that bitch out my yard. And I'm not playing. I said, the only reason why I didn't jab slap her ass and leave her for my kids to tear her ass up is because she's drunk. Now, a drunk person, I don't care how drunk you is. If it come out your mouth, that's what you mean. If it comes out your mouth, if you drinking and you drunk, I don't care what you say, whatever people say, oh, I was drunk, I don't remember. They are daggone lie. They know what they saying, y'all. They know what they saying. Trust me. It's just that when you drinking, Wanda, baby, Wanda, y'all just don't know. They would have had to slide that woman out my yard. But they learned. They learned for Christmas when we got crazy out there. Cause I'm good as gold until you cross me. But they played sending people in my yard to do stuff like that. I'm good as gold. I'll give you the shirt off my back. If you can fit it, if you want it, I'll give it. But when you cross me and try to hurt me or my family, my kids or my grandkids, I swear, y'all, it's like I don't have no understanding. None. And like I told them that night, I said, she lucky she drunk. I said, you see a little bitch like that? I want to whip her while she's sober because I want her to look me in my face when I'm beating the piss out of her. I want her to see who doing it because she threatened me and there's something. I'd rather for you to do what you got to do to me than to threaten me. I swear. If you say you gonna, one time, y'all, I told my children daddy, I said, when I see you, I'ma slap the taste out your fucking mouth. I saw him maybe about 4 or 5 months later, y'all, in the club. And I had got my little drink and everything and stuff, and I'm walking back, walking up but him. I told my little cousin, I said, hold this. Hey, how you doing? Pow. Slap the taste out his mouth. Why you slap me? Pow. Slapped him again. My cousin said, oh, Lord, we about to get thrown out the club. I said, I told you, when I see you again, I was going to slap you. Now, what you want? What you want? Now, because you know why I slapped him? At first, I told him I was gonna slap him. I meant that. I really meant that I was gonna slap him. That sucker slap that was just for coming up to be bold enough to come up to me Okay, so he got that suck and slap. That suck and slap, that was a bonus slap. So he told his humbuckers, one of his little humbuckers that came up. So he was like, no, he said, that's my children mama. He said, she can knock my head off. That's my children mama. I know why she slapped me. So anyway, that went on or whatever. But if I tell you I'm gonna do you something, if I say I'm gonna kick you on your fourth toe, on your right foot, I'm gonna do it. You know why? Because I done threatened you. You can see me. I may forget that I made that threat. And you could kick me on my fourth toe, on my right foot, because guess what? I threatened you. So y'all, after she did it the next morning, she apologized and everything. She apologized just as good, just as good, just as good. So I had told my son that night, I said, every time that bitch come out that house, I'm gonna fuck with him. My son said, you said, I say, every time. I say, son, I say, every time that bitch come out that house, I'm gonna fuck with her. We gonna fight every day when she come out that house. I said, I'm gonna be wait. Y'all, I swear, 8 o'clock the next morning, I was sitting on my porch waiting for that girl to come out that house. Waiting. And I'm having breakfast, and all of a sudden, something say, something said, leave it alone. Just leave it alone. I'm like, what? Leave it alone. It's not worth it. She's not worth it. Just do what you have to do. And I'm like, oh man, this is a time. God, why now? Why you let me be mad all night? They gonna come in the morning. I'm geared up, waiting to say, leave it alone. I left it alone, y'all. I left it alone. Like I say, when she apologized and everything, I did not accept her apology. I did not accept her apology because I see how she's coming. I see how she's coming. So I didn't accept her apology. Your first mind is your right mind. And I had to learn that the hard way because I always felt that they had something to do with the things that was happening around my house. Like the most recent things were y'all um and that's another reason why I deleted my other channel because I didn't want y'all to read about me. I didn't want y'all to read about me because guess what? I was headed for jail. I was headed for jail. Real talk. I was going to end up getting locked up. So my trash can was set on fire. Almost caught. I have a laundry room. My laundry room is not connected to my house. My laundry room has its own little area. So it's a whole nother little house where like I could put a sofa set in there, but I have like my detergent and all of that up in there, my little bleach and my little I have like a couple of chairs in there. Sometimes I'm children go sit up in there and talk and stuff, but I got my washer and dryer up in there. So that for sure would have caught on fire. Now, our fire hoses, it don't, they leak water. We need some new fire hoses, y'all, for real. The water be on the ground before it be on the fire. So I was like, well, we need we need, and I know that for a fact because that's how my house burned down because they had more water on the ground than on the house. Okay, this is what happened. A cop ended up seeing it. Y'all, I had to took my little shower, had to lotion up my little legs and everything, had to lay it in a little bed and stuff, had to cuddle up with myself, y'all. I got a little bear. My son-in-law bought me for Mother's Day. I call him Barry. But no, it was for Easter because he got some bunny ears. But I call him Barry. So me, Barry, cuddle up, baby, because I use him as a pillow. Look, I heard boom, 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 boom. I said, who the hell knocking on my door like that? So he said, it's Officer Jones, ma'am. He said, you know something burning on the back of your house? I saw on the back of my house. He said, yes, ma'am. He said, I was passing. He said, I saw a bright light. I said, no, y'all. Let me tell you something. I got some big girls. Girls was hanging, baby. I'm like, oh, Lord. So I'm like, should I put some clothes on? I said, yeah, I should put some clothes on. So he was ran to the back. I told my son, I said, PJ, go to the back. I said, that cop just said something burning back there. So y'all hurry up and slip my little jeans on and stuff. And we went back there and stuff like that. Y'all, trash can on fire. Whatever they put up in there, I don't know if it was a cigarette or something, but whatever it was, it burned real slow. It wasn't nothing that they just threw on there and just poof. Whatever it was, it had to been in there. It was around maybe I want to say 8 something. So it had to be in there a couple of hours because it was like y'all know like the papers in the Bible and stuff. It was that type of paper that was up and out. So anyway, we run out there, y'all. When my sons they ran out the back, I waited a while. When I went outside, I went out the front. So y'all know I can't see good at night. But I kept saying I was looking across the street and I kept saying, look like somebody hiding under that carport. And I'm like, I don't want to think like that. But it looked like somebody had eased up from on the side of the train because they stay by the train track too. So it looked like somebody came up on a side and went under the carport and they was moving around. And I said, I know I'm not crazy. Somebody just went under that carport, but I made my way to the back of the house and everything. And here go my son. He said, somebody ran off that train track. I said, I told him because I didn't want to talk in front of the cops. I told him, I said, yeah. I said, I thought I was tripping. He said, you're not tripping. I said, I knew somebody went under that carport. He said, yeah, that's where they at. So when the cops left or whatever, I had them kicked off my shoes and everything. I was finna go. My son said, no. He said, uh-uh. He said, uh-uh. He said, let him go. He said, we don't have it on camera. He said, just let it go. Just let it go. He said, let it go. So I said, okay, we got some cameras or whatever. We got some cameras or whatever. And he put it like by my laundry room. He didn't put it like to the front. He just put it around my laundry room. I wish he would have put it like to the front too. Cause that little guy that was papaying, when they got real cold, it would have caught his face. It would have caught his face because it was more than just the two that they caught. It was more of them than the two that they caught. But see now they done brought attention to themselves because earlier my daughter called me and said that the cops was at two of the little boys' house that's still around the corner searching. They were searching their house. So I told my daughter, I said they got somebody high that's watching low. And they don't understand that they doing too much. They're doing too much. Just like when I went to court the other day, what, last week with my daughter. I think that was, yeah, it was last week. And they had an older lady up in there. She was telling them, she said, y'all, she said, you know, they're trying to try y'all as some adults and stuff. And she said, y'all, by y'all having a file up here now, she said, y'all gonna be the first ones that, she said, because y'all files is open. She said, y'all files is not closed. She said, back in the day, they would have y'all files closed. She said, baby, I'm here to tell y'all, y'all files is open. So my daughter didn't have to see the judge. They deferred her case and everything. And so I gotta wait till the people from anger management call me and stuff because she have to do anger management. But and she have to call one time a month. I think it's the first Friday of every month because she had to call yesterday and just say her name and that she's doing good and stuff like that. And after her 6 months, then it goes before a review panel and they close the case. But I don't know what they want them children to do because somebody throw water on me. I'm not sure what I would have done because I'm not gonna lie. I've never been suspended. I got in a couple of fights at school, but I fought two boys. I fought two boys at school. Um, but other than that, I never gotten suspended. None of that. None of that. None of that. I never would talk back to my teachers or anything. I just would laugh a lot. We would joke a lot, but other than that, mm-mm. Yep, yep. So what you doing, Maisha? I'm watching. Trying to find me something to watch. I like Claudine. I might watch Claudine. I like Claudine. But yeah, I text him and he let me see. I have to check on my other phone, see if he texts me back. Something else, y'all. Something else. I was telling my daughter earlier, she was kind of worried about what's happening with the politics and all. And I told her, I say, you know what? I say, if it's our time to, to go, then it's our time. Yeah, Claudine. It's on YouTube. I watch it all the time. It's with James Earl Jones and Diane Carroll. I think that's her name. It's an old movie. If you like old movies, it's from 1974. A girl a year before I was born. But I like me some Claudine. I love me some Claudine. Y'all, my sister wanna. My little brother' birthday was on the 4th. Hey, legend. My little sister' birthday was on the 4th, and I'm not my little sister, my little brother. His birthday was on the 4th, and she didn't want to come over here tomorrow. They was talking just as good. She said, "You bought my sausage." I say, "No." I said, "I got a box of sausage." So she said, "I just need 3 links." So I said, "I'm gonna take it out." I said, "I'm gonna take you 3 links out, break it because it's frozen." And she said, "Okay." She said, because I want to make a homemade jambalaya. Girl can't cook. Girl, somebody tell that girl she can't cook. but I want to make a homemade jambalaya and I'm barbecue. She say, you know, we come and sit over here. I said, no, the fuck y'all not. Y'all not come and sit on my new sofa. Oh no. She said, yeah, we coming over. I said, no, y'all not. I mean that. Y'all not coming over here. Hmm. My daughter called me tonight. She said, Mama, she said, Nana told you they trying to go over there. And I said, yeah. She said, when she said, oh, we gonna sit by April house. She said, I say, April who? She said, Mama not gonna let y'all sit on her sofa. She said, Mama done told us y'all don't fart. Don't come here with y'all period on. Don't come here stink. Don't come here. Don't come here trying to eat on her sofa. None of that. Do not come. I got a good deal on that sofa set. Nobody sit on it. So don't look at it. I told my grandbaby today, don't look at it. None of that. Don't look. Matter of fact, take her on home. Cause she got a hard head, huh? Mm-hmm. I gotta give her a name. I gotta give her a name. I be calling her Watusi though. I call her Watusi sometimes, but she need a gangster name. I might call her Billy the Kid, cause she's something else. But y'all, every time that woman I get, ugh. Mm, 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 mm. And I really think they put something down for my son. You know, here, I'm gonna say this. You don't have to believe in certain things, but deep in the South, we have certain things that people do. And some people say you have to believe in it, but that's totally not the truth. Like at a certain time, say like if you close your door, one night we heard some screaming down the road. So I said, I'm tired of that because every night at a certain time, we hear screaming, we hear screaming, we hear screaming. So I say, after I said, I'm tired of that. And I say, tonight, I'm going to see who out there screaming like that. So that particular night, I heard, he on a train track. He on a train track with the kids. I said, oh no, F that. I'm going out there tonight. I opened that door, y'all. It was after 2 o'clock. I opened the door. It was foggy. And my son came in front of me. And I looked down the road. I didn't see nobody. I said, well, where's she at? I said, I know I just heard her. I hear her every night. I look to the left, look to the right. I said, well, where that woman went that fast? He said, I don't see her, but I see a fog. I see a fog. He said, where all that fog coming from? But I had walked back in the house. He walked all the way on the porch. I say, Chocolate, close the fucking door right now. Close the door. Close the door. Okay. I laid back in my bed. When I laid back in my bed, I laid to my wall. I heard the door close. I thought the boy had came in behind me. He didn't come in behind me. So I laying down, probably playing in my phone or something. So I hear some noise. So I get up, I look out my blind. He's still on the post. I'm like, bring your ass up in here, boy. I said, didn't I tell you to come up in here? And he said, I'm coming, mom. I'm just walking. I said, bring your ass up in here. And so I say, we shouldn't have opened that door. And he said, why? I said, one day I'm going to tell you why. I said, we shouldn't have opened that damn door. Because my daughter, Tweety Bird, if you're not in her house at a certain time, she's not going to open that door. She's not going to open that door. So Anyway, he come in the house. He come in the house. I say, why you didn't come in when I told you to come in? I said, you should have came in the house when I told you to come in the house. And he said, Mama, I just was catching some, some air and stuff like that. I said, you didn't see all that fog out there? I said, come, you should have came in the house. I said, at a certain time, I said, you not, don't, I said, I shouldn't have opened the door. You shouldn't have opened the door. I'm regretting it. I'm regretting it. But anyway, all I can say, the weapon formed, but it didn't prosper. My grandbaby Danny came over here one day, and I was sitting on my bed folding some laundry and drinking a Coke. And me and her mom was talking, and she was greeting me or whatever because she was finna go to work. She said, Mama, Danny said, what you doing? I said, you see what I'm doing? Folding some clothes. I said, what you doing? She said, eating my snacks. I said, oh, okay. So her mama said, get off of mama bed eating. So she said, okay. Cause she had sat all the way up in my bed. So all of a sudden, y'all, she said, April. I said, well, Danny. She said, who that man is sitting in your house? I said, what man? She said, that man. She said, he be sitting in your living room, in the front room. So I looked at her mama. I looked at her on the corner of my eye. I said, Danny, how long you been sitting in my living room? She said, the last couple of days. Like, she said, 4 days, something, yeah, 4 days, like that. She said, he been sitting in your living room. So I said, you serious? She said, yeah, I'm serious. She said, but I said, did he talk to you? She said, he raised his hand, but that's it. I said, did you talk to him? She said, no. So I just look at him like, what he doing over here? She said, but I never asked him. So her mama told her again, she said, get off of mama bed with that banana. It was a banana, and she had some cheeses. She said, get off my mama bed with that food. And Danny said, yeah, but that man, he been sitting in your living room. And I say, who you think he here for? She said, I don't know, but I don't think he here for you. And I said, okay. Her mama said, Danny, be quiet. Pretty said, Daddy, be quiet. I said, let her talk. Let her talk. Because I knew what she seen. I knew what she was seeing. And so that was the Friday. And Saturday came, and like I said, the weapon formed, but it didn't prosper. So my son is at the hospital, y'all. He at the hospital. He's doing good. Me and my daughter had a conversation. Within that week, I had got I kept getting phone calls from my mama. And one of the things she was saying, she was asking me if my son cleaned his room. If he's keeping his room clean. First she asked, the first time she called, she asked for my second to the oldest daughter and her kid. And I'm like, she okay? And she said, tell her, and I didn't hear nothing but a train, the blaring horn of a train. And I kept saying, Mama, what you was saying? And I couldn't hear no more. I woke up and I went in, Let's Talk with Love Live. And somebody was talking about a dream, a weird dream. And I said, I just had a weird dream myself. Okay. That happened that morning. That was all in the same week of when Danny, the two phone calls happened in the dream. The two phone calls happened before that Friday, y'all. So I don't want to throw y'all off. So I'm listening. I couldn't hear nothing but the train blaring. I fell asleep again. After the live, I ended up falling asleep again. Fell right back in a dream. And I forgot what they say when you fall right back in a dream. I forgot what it means. But anyway, y'all, I fell right back in a dream to her calling me again. And I answered again. And that's when she asked me if my son was cleaning his room. And I said, yeah, I said, he keeps a clean room. I said, I don't have to tell, that's one child. I don't have to tell nothing about his room. I said, he keeps a clean room. I said, he got it looking like a home up in there. See, you got him a little sofa set, a sofa in there, table set, little dining set, and everything. I see you got it looking king size bed and everything. And so she said, hmm, 9 o'clock. She said between 9 and 11, I want you to get up, make sure that room is clean. I said, Mama, I said, I just told you that child keep his room clean. She said between 9 and 11. I want you to make sure, get off your ass. My mama was a cusser. She said, get off your ass and go make sure his room is clean. I said, okay. Okay, mom. So Saturday came, Sunday came. I fell asleep around 5 o'clock. Everybody know I don't sleep. The longest I'll sleep in the nighttime is 10, maybe 9, between 9 and 11. Like right now, this is the time I'll be sleeping. But I took a nap early. So right now I'll be sleeping. I'll get up around 12 and I'll stay up to like 6 o'clock in the morning. Fall asleep again and just be tired all day. But anyway, I fell asleep around 5 something. And when I woke up, because usually when I wake up, it's like 30 minutes late. I be thinking that I done slept all night. No, be like 30 minutes. So when I woke up, I'm thinking, oh, well, it's like maybe 6 o'clock. So I got up and I ended up doing something in my room. So I sat back on my bed and I'm thinking to myself, maybe about a good hour. I said, that's for the chocolate egg cake. Hollered at me today. I said, that's funny. So I hollered at my other son that's here. I say, PJ, I say, chocolate in his room. And he said, no, he outside. So I'm looking at him. I say, he outside. He said, yeah. He said, he been outside. So I say, why you didn't come tell me he was outside? He said, Mama, he said, a boy 18 going on 19 years old. Well, I have to tell you, yeah, he outside. So I'm about to cuss him out now. So I said, what time it is? I said, what time it is? Phone dead. Y'all, my phone was dead. Hadn't charged, it was dead. I say, PJ, what time it is? He said, mm, eight something, I guess. He said, eight something, nine. He said, wait, I'm finna get up and look. So I had already plugged my phone. So when it got to 1%, I turned it on. I called my daughter. I said, chocolate over there? She said, no. She said, Mom, what chocolate gonna be doing over here? I said, Tweety, get up, go outside, see chocolate outside. She said, okay. I said, but stay watching him. So she said, okay. So when I thought about it, I said, oh, she said, Mom, because first she told me, she said, he's standing right there by your backyard. Then I said, okay. So I'm putting some clothes on. So that's what she said, he on the train track. I said, on the train track. She said, yeah. She said, yeah, he on the track. She said, what he doing on the train track? And I say, oh my God. I said, call the cops. I said, call the cops. I said, call the cops. I went out there. I looked. I swear to God, I didn't see him. I did not see my son out there on them trail. I did not see him. I came back in the house. I say, Trina say, I hollered at my son. I said, Trina say, chocolate on the trash. I said, go right there out the back door because it would have been quicker for my son to get to the back than me. I said, see if he to the back. He went to the back. He came right back and he said, no. I went back outside. Didn't see him. I did not see him. Did not see him. So I came back in the house. And I said, well, I know the girl just said that she seen him on the train. So I went back outside. I said, well, Brian, what the F yes, I'm calling his name by that time. And I turned back around and I was finna come back in the house, but I heard my daughter coming, so it made me turn. Then all of a sudden, I turned and out of nowhere, I seen him. And I asked my daughter, I said, did you call? She said, yeah. So I called, I was talking to him, I was talking to him, I was talking to him. And I seen he wasn't there. He wasn't there. He wasn't there, y'all. My child he wasn't there. So I'm just making conversation with him, trying to get him to come back. And I told him, I said, pray, pray. I said, go to God. Go to God. And I say, you fight. You fucking fight. You hear me? I said, you fight, boy. Fight. So in the midst of all of that, a unmarked car pulled up. Okay, and my daughter had already told the officer, hey, we think it's something mentally going on. We think it's, but anybody know that um most mental illnesses are associated with the devil, right? Most mental illnesses are associated to the devil. So the officer was talking to him, talking to him, talking to him, and he started talking. And he was saying, leave me alone. Leave me the fuck alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. And I'm looking, because by then the sergeant came out and another officer came. And I'm looking. And I told my daughter, Tweet, I said, he not talking to them. She said, I see that. I said, he not talking to them. But nobody gonna understand it. If you don't know, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't, if you don't have a high spiritual frequency, you don't see what others with high spiritual frequencies see. And that's why a lot of people don't see what my kids, myself, what we see. So I'm telling him, I say, fight, fight. I want you to fucking fight. You know the Lord. You fucking fight. You fight and you come back. You come back, you fight, you pray, you fight, and you pray. So the white officer was looking at me on the side. He was looking at me. So after they took, because they had to detain him, he wasn't hitting them or anything. He was just like pushing back. Like they was like trying to get him to walk forward, and he was just taking his weight and just pushing back. But I'm looking at him, and I seen it wasn't him. And I'm praying and I'm talking to him. Fight, baby, fight, fight, fight. You in there, baby, fight. You know the Lord, fight, fight, fight and pray, fight and pray, fight and pray. So when they took him away, because they had to restrain him, when they took him away, and out of all of that, he wasn't talking. He did not talk. And he said, he is one of my children. He see things all the time. He see things. He see things. And he told me uh when he got back, because they took him. They took him. So the weapon did form. And I told my daughter, I said, that's what Danny saw. She said, Mama. She said, I said, that's what that child saw. She said, what she saw, Mama? She said, I remember her saying that. I said, she saw what is called a watcher. She said, a watcher. I said, you ever seen Bone Thugs and Harmony video where the guy would come up and touch him and take him? I said, that's what she seen. That's what she was seeing. That's what she was seeing. I said, the only thing is they was going to up there. I said he wouldn't have went up there because he was gonna do it the other way. Say so. he would have went down there or wherever. So she started crying. She started crying. She started crying. She started crying. And she said, Mama, she said, why? Why? She said, why? Why us? Why we always seeing some strange shit? Why is some strange shit always going? I said, sometimes it's spiritual. Sometimes it's spiritual. If you get African doctor in a hospital, they'll tell you not everything is scientific. Some things are spiritual. When he called me the fourth day, he didn't remember anything. But when he did come back and he talked, he told me, he said, I thought I was in hell. He didn't remember being in my neighbor's yard. He didn't remember what happened, what he did throughout that day. He didn't remember none of that. None of it. None of it. The only thing he told me is that he thought he was in hell. He seen how he said the shadows and everything. He said that's why I wasn't talking. He said this the second time. It's the second time in a couple of months that he seen the shadows and stuff. Now they will associate seeing a shadow as being depressed. Okay? They will associate a shadow with being depressed. You know how many shadows I done seen? And I know I'm not depressed. I know when I'm depressed or not. But you know how many shadows I done seen? I done seen shadows where I done got that and screamed out. That's how many shadows I done seen. And when a person goes to the hospital or anything, they give them a pill. And I asked them, I say, this is interesting because if I've seen shadows before I take this pill, you give me another pill, you give me a pill, and these people see more shadows. They still seeing the shadows. They still seeing whatever it is that they seen. Y'all done gave them a pill. And this pill's supposed to subside that what they seen, right? Why some of these people go off and still harm themselves? Seeing it over and over again. Go to the hospital, or this person is experiencing that, they experiencing they hallucinating and this and that. Those people are not fucking hallucinating. They seeing what they're seeing. It's spiritual. A pill sometimes will not fix that. It will not hide that. They will still see what they are seeing. That's why some people go head on and end it all because they don't want to see no more. They don't want to be there no more. They don't want to be on earth no more thinking, but that gonna help it if I just go away. No, it's not gonna help it because now you done did this to yourself or whatever. Now you really your soul probably just walking around and can't go up. It don't help that. It don't help that. And you know what? I'm not no doctor, and I've been figured that out because if they seen things and you give them a pill and that pill don't subside that, then it's not, it's whatever they see is really there. They mind it, or they'll say, they'll say, their mind's playing tricks. Your mind's playing tricks on you. I told this doctor one time, it was a psychologist. I told him one time, I say I dealt with this all my life, all my life, all my life. See, when I was like 5 years old, no, I was in the first grade, so I was like six, and we had just moved into this house, and the house had a shed on the back of it. And so me and my little brother, we went, we was exploring. It was a new house. It was a bigger home than what we used to live in. So had a big yard. Our yard wasn't as big where we was staying there before. So we had a big old yard. So we was exploring and stuff, like things that kids do. So they had this little shed to the back. And my brother opened the door and stuff. And immediately when we got to the back of the house, I looked on the back, and the corner, they had this corner of the yard where my eyes was fixated at, and my little brother was pulling all these toys out um of this little house. It's like for a little girl. And he just pulling all these little toys out, and he would call me Eeple. And he said, Eeple, look. Um he said, look how pretty. He said, look, you can play with this. And I wasn't answering him, so he popped me on my hand. He said, Equal up. So I looked and I seen like toys. They look brand new to me, like brand new. And I was thinking to myself, like, why would somebody leave that here? That's some brand new toys. Anyway, my stepfather walked up on the back of me because my eyes went back to where I was looking. And he said, Cat. He said, y'all, that's my nickname, Cat. He said, what you looking at? What you see? And I say, we can't stay here. He said, why? He said, tell me what you see, and I'm going to tell you what I see. And I say, they have some people right there. And he said, "Mhm." He said, y'all come to the front. And we get to the front of the house, and we was under the carport. And he said, he told my little brother to go in the house. My little brother went in the house, and so I told him. He said, I said, we can't stay, we can't stay. I seen a man, I seen a lady holding a baby, and I seen two children that was playing with something. But I was more fixated on the man because the man he was the one that was looking at me. So I was more fixated on him. And it was just disgusted look, like, ugh, like, ugh, what you want here? Like, and he stayed fixated on me. I stayed fixated on him. And but it was like this, uh, how I want to articulate this. I can tell, even at that age, it was like a filter that was over them. I can see them, but it was in my eyes, it was like a filter, if that makes sense. I can tell that uh they weren't in my time. The clothing looked it weird. Um, I could tell they wasn't in my time. So, um, my stepfather had the house blessed. He had our pastor come out and bless the house or whatever. And I didn't see anything after that. The only thing that another thing that happened well in that house. The only thing that happened after that, uh, my mama caught a cat over my brother's face. She caught a cat over his face. And my little brother was like maybe Lord y'all. My little brother was small, but the cat was in his crib over his little face. And she was telling her cousins in there, she said that cat was sucking the life out my baby. That happened. Another thing that happened, I came home from school one day. Wait, y'all, hold on, right quick, y'all. I'm back. Yeah, it was a cat, a black cat. Right. The thing of it is, Maisha, we didn't have cats. We didn't have cats. She tried to figure out how that cat got in the house. We didn't have animals. We never had animals. We never had goldfish, anything like that in our home. So we trying to figure out where this cat come from. So one day, um, we was sitting around and things like that, and our cousin was our neighbor. His name was Nick, and I hadn't seen Nick in a while, and I seen he had spoke. He was real soft spoken, and he was the type of person he hide by and go ahead by his business. So Nick had went to prison, and so he picked up the trade. He would make belts. So he made. My mom was asking him to make us some leather belts. He would make genuine leather belts, the braided kind, and he was going to engrave our name in it or whatever. So she was asking him how much he was going to charge and stuff like that. So while she talking to him, I'm staring at him and I'm looking at Nick, and I said, "Hmm, I see Nick in a lot of fire, screaming." And so I say, "Nick, don't stay there no more." He said, "Huh?" He said, "What you say?" I said, "Don't stay there no more, Nick." I said, you gotta go. I said, don't stay there. And he just kept looking at me. He had this strange look on his face. And my mama said, be quiet. She said, be quiet. So they kind of finished up talking about, the price and everything and when he was gonna have it done. But he just kept looking at me. He just kept looking at me. He just kept watching. Um, the next couple of days, all of these cats just start hanging around our house. We didn't know where those cats was coming from, but uh the guy that we was renting from, he stayed a house over. So my stepdaddy said he was gonna go talk to him. He said, um, because where the cats was coming from, he said maybe they coming from under the house. And I'm looking around the house, and the house was almost to the ground. They no, and then he had like that that stuff like so the wind won't get under your house in the wintertime. So he had that around his house. So I'm like, well, that don't make no sense. How could they get under there unless they was there before? But how would they get out? They wouldn't have been able to get out because the stuff would have been wrapped around the house. But all of these cats just start hanging around, hanging around, hanging around. And they had this big old tree in the yard. And they had started climbing a tree. And we would get home. My mom would come pick us up from school. And the cat's on top of the carport. And I'll be so scared, so scared. All different color cats, all different color cats. So that went on. That went on. So one night, we would go walk and they had this burger place. And that burger place is still open to this day. It's called Joe's. It's still open to this day. And my mama had her little friend. She would go talk to her for a little while, and then she stayed like right next door to the burger place. Like it was about a good, I say maybe it wasn't that close to her house, but it was, on the same property. So she would go talk to her, and that's who was gone. So on our way back, my stepfather had, I guess he was coming get us or whatever. But he was walking and he was coming up, and he was telling my mama, he said, Miss So and so told me you had been walking around to the lady house around the corner. So she's like, yeah. She said, I'm taking them out for a little walk and stuff. So he was telling her that he had done took his bath and about his day at work and stuff like that. So all of a sudden I started to have this big field, this big old field, nothing on that, nothing on that land till this day. And I was asking him, I was like, you brought me something back? Because he usually would bring me and my little brother and sister things back from work and stuff like that. And he was like, no, he said, I didn't bring y'all nothing back today. So when I looked over to the right, I stopped dead tracks. And I was like, and my little head was going left and right. And I said, oh my God. was like, what is this? I seen people running. I seen fires, people dressed a weird way, and I seen fires. I seen a whole bunch of just stuff, and I didn't understand what I was seeing. So my stepdaddy, he said, "What you see?" And I'm gonna tell you what I see. I say, "We gotta go home." I told him, I said, "We gotta go home. We gotta go home." I saw people, things was happening to people. And we got home and he said, I seen it too. He said, I seen it too. And I say, for real? He said, yeah. He said, I say, why nobody else see? I said, why mama don't see it? He said, I don't know. He said, but I seen it. I saw all those fires and everything. That night, around 3 o'clock, I heard a bunch of screaming, heard a lot of commotion. And my room was all the way to the back. So I can hear that the front door was open. I heard when they left out the house. So I gets up and I go peep. So by the time I make it to the front door, I'm coming outside peeping. My stepfather running in the house and he went and grabbed my little brother. My little brother was the baby at the time. And my little sister, Renee, was around, because I want to say they 8 months apart, because she wasn't even walking. I forgot how old they, because no, they a year apart. She was walking. I think the girl was walking. No, I lied. She wasn't walking. She was crawling. Um, he ran back and he passed me, grabbed them, grabbed my other little brother, and came outside. The cousin that I told not to stay there no more, house was in flame with fire. So we had to really evacuate because his house was like right next to our house. So we had to leave for the night and stuff like that. And nothing happened to ours because by the time I guess we noticed it or whatever, well, my mom and them noticed it or whatever, the fire trucks was out there. So they got there pretty fast, but he burned alive. He burned alive. He poor thing, he burned. He burned up in there. So my mama said, she said she told him not to stay there no more, but that man, like I guess he was like, well, why is she saying that? Anyway, he didn't know, poor thing. He didn't know. But he ended up burning up. And he was so sweet, so sweet. But he passed away. So the next thing that happened, because like I say, I really didn't see nothing, no activity in the house. Just one time, a pot, I forgot about that. A pot of okra almost fell on me, like if it was pushed. It was a whole pot of okra, like it was pushed. Cause the mama, she wouldn't leave her pots on the stove. She had them on her cabinets. And I was bending down doing something. And that pot of okra like fell. It fell. And it fell, actually it fell, some of it fell on me. And good thing it wasn't hot because it would have scalded me. But some of it actually fell on me and stuff. And I caught a whipping for that. My mama thought I was playing in her pot, but that pot was pushed. Um, and I caught a spanking for that. But another thing that I noticed that was stay happening, my sister, my little sister, was stay falling. And she was stay falling to the point to one time I told my mama it was she had this little table by her phone. Her phone was in the wall. So she had this little table right there and the little legs was skinny on it. And so I come in the house one day, my little sister on the floor. So my mama ran and she picked up because she had this den area. So she was in her den area. She ran out and she picked up. And she said, I don't know why she keep climbing her tail up there. She said, she keep climbing. She popped my little sister on her little thigh like 2 times, like poop poop, like that. Stop getting up there. And as a child, I'm looking at the table, I'm looking at the legs, and I told my mom, I said, she wouldn't be able to climb on that table, mama. And I got so mad at her. I took my little sister because I would always tell her to watch them. And so I took my little sister and I was hugging her and I was kissing on her and I was comforting her and everything. And she stopped crying or whatever. So that happened. So one morning I went to school. By that time, winter was rolling in, and back then, we had those old time stove, well, heaters. Well, they was in style back then with the bricks in it. Lord, there was some good heat, the fire coming out of them. But we had one of those. We had a big one, and I get back from school, and I see my little sister, her little head wrapped up, and her hands was wrapped up in white bandages. And I immediately say, what happened to her? And my mama said, she said, Chris put her in the heater. So I say, Chris put her in the heater. She said, yeah. I looked at him and I could tell she had spanked him because he wasn't saying nothing. He was just sitting quiet, quiet, quiet. I could tell. And I'm looking at my godfather, not my godfather, my stepfather. I'm looking at him and I'm just going off. I'm just going off. I said, I told y'all to watch them. So We moved. We moved from that area. We moved because a lot of weird shit will go on in that area. So we moved, and years later, one day me and my brother was talking, and I said, I said, um, we were just going over our life and stuff. And I asked him, I said, yeah, I said, because I held a little grudge against him for a while, for years for that. And I told him, I said, when we were staying in Greenwood, I said, I don't know what made me go back to that and ask him that, but I'm like, I said, when we were staying in Greenwood, did you put Renee in that heater? And he said no. So I said no. He said no. He said I was trying to get her from out the heater. So I'm like, what? He said, yeah. He said, when mama walked up, he said, I was getting her from out the heater. So I say, well, how she got in the heater? Because she can crawl. So I'm thinking, well, she crawled up there and put her little hands up in there. He said, no. He said, April, that white man put Renee in that heater. He said, I was trying to get her from out the heater. I said, the white man. He said, yeah. He said, that white man. So when I thought about it, I said, that was that ghost that I had seen. That white man. That was the ghost that me and my stepfather seen my brother finally seen. Because I didn't see him no more while we was there. I think we stayed there a year or two, but I didn't see him no more. It was just things that was happening that was, bad. But I never saw him after the pastor went there. But my little brother told me, he said I want to say I was in my 30s, and he was in his 20s, in his late 20s. And he said that white man put that baby Renee in that heat. I said, oh my God. I said, that's who was pushing her off of that table. And he said, I don't know about that. He said, but I know that day I saw that. And I said, did you tell Mama and Marshall? And he said, yeah. He said, yeah. He said, when Marsha heard me say it, he said, Marsha told Mama to stop whipping me. He said, when Marsha, because you see, my stepfather would see things too. So till this day, my little sister head is burned to the front. Her hair, she got pretty hair. So her hair's kind of long, and her hair is long, and that little spot in the front of her head, it don't grow. That spot where she was burned, it do not grow. And her hands, um, her prints, her fingerprints, like sometimes they have her hands are burnt to the point to where it's the inside of her hands. They are burnt to the point to where, you know how our hands look white on the inside. Her hands look Her hands look like if they dirty. Like if they real dirty. Um I remember one time on a job she had, she was embarrassed by it because who gon' you know what I'm saying, gonna believe, oh, you know how some people ain't gonna believe that. So her employer kept making her wash her hands. And she kept going, wash her hands. Instead, she just tell him, hey, my hands were burnt when I was a baby. You know, I can't get them, I can't get this off. This is my hands are scarred. My hands is scarred tissue. But he kept making her go wash her hands, go wash her hands, go wash her hands. So the job that she was working on, my best friend was her supervisor. So my best friend called me when she went in the office and she was telling me about it. And I said, that can't come off of her effing hands. I said, she was burnt as a child. And she said, you serious? I said, yeah. I said, she don't she said, well, no wonder. Yeah, one. She said, well, that's probably why they having trouble with her fingerprints, because her prints, they couldn't really pick, they was only getting partial of her fingerprints on certain fingers. And so I said, yeah, I said, I don't know why she just didn't tell y'all that her hands had been burnt. She had been burnt as a child. And she said, oh my God. So I'm gonna tell you the story one day. I don't remember ever telling her the story, but yeah, um, her hands was burnt because that ghost put her in that fire. Burn her hands and her head. They said a little bit more, it would have killed her because, you know, the obvious. They said a little bit more, but on the top of her hair don't grow. But she got some long hair, so she can cover it up. But she's self conscious about it. So if I'm ever live and she come around and y'all just happen to see the inside of her hands, it's her hands are not dirty. Her hands are burnt. Her hands not they not dirty. They burnt. Yep. 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 So let me get off of here. I'll talk to you later, Maisha.